All right, what's up, guys? Garrett here again. Just figured I'd get on here and talk about prep centers. I just recently started my third one now. I've had prep centers in the past, two of them, and both of them were like the traditional online arbitrage prep centers. So all the like brand new products and stuff is what I was sending there. This newest one I've started is all books, completely used books and stuff. I'm pretty new with this one. I've only had it for a little over a week now, so like I'm not like super versed in everything what's going on, but with the past two experiences that I've had, it's kind of cool to be able to compare them all. So I figured I'd get on here and just give the rundown of the pros and cons of each. Um, my biggest, I guess, pro. I'll go over the pros first. I got a couple written down. I mean, obviously, the pros of it is no packages. You're not, you don't have to have the books sent to your house anymore. Your mailman probably will like you a little bit more. That's probably a side effect. And like that's huge because you're not opening packages. You're not taking, however long it takes you to open packages. It's not taking that time to do that. Um, and with that being said, you're also not accumulating trash. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't think about it until you open, 50 some packages a week or more. And you're taking out two or three different bags of trash. That's whenever you start to realize, like, oh man, I have a lot of trash. And that's honestly something I didn't think about when I was starting my prep center. I was just thinking about, okay, offload the work. And then I realized that I was not taking my trash out as much. And I was like, that's nice. It's a positive. That's definitely a pro on that. And with that being said, with like the trash and stuff accumulating, you're also, I think, the most important part of getting a prep center is you're literally buying your time back. Usually my Sundays were dedicated to packing, or prepping and everything and shipping out. And with my kids at home, it definitely took me a long time to do that. It would take me all day sometimes, unless I was able to, have my wife take them somewhere and have a good solid 2 hours where I could just sit down and work. But that was very not always didn't always happen. So, it would literally take me all day long to do that. But this last Sunday was my first Sunday where I had offloaded it all the way onto the prep center, and I got my whole all of my yard work done, which I had been neglecting because I didn't have a day off, you know? So now I can finally kinda use my Sundays as my day off. I'm not really taking a full day off, but it's not dedicated to rushing to get that packaging done. And that right there is you can't put a price tag on that. You know what I'm saying? Like it is huge. Um and those three right there are the main pros for me. Of course everyone's going to be different. Some other people are going to have different opinions on what the pros are and whatnot, but those three, well, I think everyone can agree on. um but, nothing is perfect. You always have trade-offs when doing anything. There's always gonna be cons to it, and that's kinda what I wanted to go into, next is the cons. Um, you know, for me, I'm kind of a control freak. I'm not, like, completely bad about it because I do wanna offload as much as I possibly can, as fast as I possibly can. Um, but that means that you're giving up control. So that's one of the cons is you don't really have control over the packaging, over the, you know, especially with used books, you don't have quality control, you don't really have that. But in my opinion, I feel like they would probably know how to, condition a book better than me just because of the volume of people that they've been working with, I guess people, the volume of books that they've had run through there. They look at books all day, every day of multiple sellers. I don't know how many, but they look at a ton of different books, so they probably have more of an understanding of how to, condition the book more than you or me. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the sheer volume of books that they've looked at, and you can't like that right there, I would say is a pro, like you're offloading control. That's a con to some people. To me, it's a little bit of a con because I like to be, in there. But you're also gaining expertise that you don't have that someone else does. And so that con kind of cancels out. But it is a con to some people. The next con I would like to point out is it can be expensive. Um, I'm my my first my first 2 prep centers, I was not ready for them. It it came down to the point where, like, yeah, I was, didn't have packages coming here anymore. It was awesome, but I was spending so much money, I didn't have money to spend on product. And that was an issue because then once that kind of dried up, I wasn't able to send products in anymore. And then I was kind of really screwed because I didn't have income coming in and I had to pay them. And it was not a good thing. Um, so that is probably the biggest con that you're going to face with a prep center. And I think the best way to mitigate that is number one, you need to meet a certain number of books. Like if you're doing books, and even if you're doing, online arbitrage, traditional online arbitrage, if you're doing anything, you need to meet a certain number of items that you're sending in. You can't you just can't, start it whenever you're just sending in, 10 books a week or 10 products a week. It's just not going to be feasible. They're not going to ship out the 10 books. And if they did, it wouldn't make sense with the shipping. That would eat at your profits. So you have to, be aware that you need a constant flow of books. And the way I mitigated that this time is I made sure that I had money before I started the prep center. I had a pile of money that was dedicated towards the prep center that I could survive for 3 months just using that pile of money to pay for the prep center. That made it to where all of the money that's coming in right now, I'm able to put that towards the products and not worry about having the prep center. I'm obviously still putting money into the I get my tools and subscriptions um spot, but I'm not like taking money from there and like barely making it by. You know what I'm saying? I've prepared enough to where I can survive for 3 months without putting any money in that account and be just fine. That's been the biggest way I've been able to mitigate that because it can be expensive. I've kind of did a little bit of the numbers, and with my prep center currently, I think I'm doing $1.50 per book, and the math I'm not gonna math very good, but I budgeted $500 per month, which I'll probably hit. I might hit a little more. Just depends. But I've realized that I kind of do quite a bit of DVDs as well, so that I still have to send here. Um, my prep center doesn't quite do DVDs as well. They just do books, and I'm fine with that. That's cool. I'll do the DVDs and everything. That way I have them shipping stuff out and I have me shipping stuff out, and that'll kind of work out, I feel like. But yeah, that's the main thing. Main cons that I could think of, those three: the no control, it can be expensive, and you kind of need to meet a certain number of books or items before you decide to jump into that. Have a pile of money ready and have a decent amount of items already rolling through in before you start that. And that's going to cause you to, sacrifice quite a few Sundays to package up until you get to that point where you're like, okay, now I've got enough products coming through that I should be able to survive, a good while before I start seeing the products or profits coming back. Um, a lot of There's some tips that I would like to go over with prep centers, like when you're starting them. Number one, something that caught me off guard that I just didn't even think about was the tax exemption deal. So I am tax exempt in Colorado, where my business is located and everything. But whenever I started my prep center in Virginia, I wasn't. And whenever I started buying books, I was getting charged tax, and I was like, "Oh no," because number one, my all of my books are going up by $1.50, and then on top of that, I was getting charged taxes. So a lot of books were not going to be worth it because of that reasoning. I mean, books is so much margin in books that you could make it work no matter what, and I did make it work for a few days before I finally figured out that, I could, because I thought that I couldn't have a tax exemption in the state that my business wasn't located. So I kind of just didn't go for it, and then I went on Facebook Marketplace, Facebook group deal, and asked like, "Hey, does anybody know how I can mitigate this?" And they were like, "Yeah, just get a tax exemption in that state." And I want to make a video about how I did it because I couldn't find any videos online about it, and it's super simple. Like, I made it complicated in my head, and it took me a long time to figure out how simple it was. Literally, I just had to call them and talk to somebody and be like, "Hey, what form do I need?" And they're like, "Yeah, just fill this out and send it to Amazon." And I was like, "Wait a minute, I don't need to send it to you?" And they were like, "Nope, just fill that out and that's it." I was like, "What?" And it was free. Like, Virginia, if anybody's going to be in Virginia for the prep center, it's free. You don't have to pay a dime, and you're gonna be tax exempt. The most headache part is that you have to get your tax number in Virginia, and that it literally took me like 5 minutes to get that. But what took me the longest was to figure out which form to fill out after that to send to Amazon. But I think I'm gonna make a video about that to kind of like go over that, and I think that would be good. Um, but another tip that I wanted to go over is figure out how you can help your prep center. My prep center sent us like a little like list of stuff that they want us to do and how they want us to do it, and I just read through that, and now everything's running smooth. But there was a lot of questions I had before I read through that, and luckily they answered all of them, in that deal that they sent me. And so, because like you gotta remember, like, this isn't just something that you hire a prep center and then you're done, you never talk to them again. It's like, it's no, you got to keep track of all your items being sent to them. Keep track of the canceled items. Keep track of the things that they say. Like, if a book comes in and it's just not sellable, and they'll flag it, and then you have to start that return process. So that's just something you need to stay on top of with that. Help the prep center out as much as possible. That way, things run smooth for you and them. Um, and then the last tip I had, I already kind of went over this, is just, have a good pile of money built up that you'll be able to survive for a month or 2 or 3 months. That way, you're not going to be caught blindsided by the fee that you had to pay, because they don't really charge it. They do charge it per book, but they don't. Then they build it up, and for my prep center, at least, it's per week. So every week they're gonna send me a bill of what I owe them, and I'm gonna pay it and then move on. So that's about it for the prep center, guys. There's a lot of pros and cons. If you can think of any more, let me know in the comments. I'm always here to learn, and uh, I like to talk about this type of stuff. So, but thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch y'all next one. Later, guys.